third lesson in Module 4 where we're going to look at campaign settings. So these are the detailed controls and configurations that let us fine-tune the type of campaign that we've selected to build our accounts with. So before we dive in, previous video, you'll recall that we were looking at the different campaign types available, and we were quite clear in our outcome from that we're going to use search-only campaigns for our main search marketing, where people are searching for our product and our ads are going to show. We're going to use search only for that. We're going to use display for our remarketing. And in this one, we're going to look at the detailed settings because AdWords has lots of little options in there that are designed to give you control, but they also serve a rather insidious purpose. One thing you'll notice as we go through our AdWords journey is that many of the settings that AdWords provides you by default favor Google, not you as the advertiser. As the advertiser, if you take the default option, your campaign will perform worse than if you set it up properly and you'd taken the time to make the change. That's what we're going to look at in this. We're going to look at those simple changes that when we get them right, our campaign can grow profitably. So let's start. We're going to start with something called search partners, and I'm going to show you this in the interface in a few moments. I just want to give you a quick overview of the parameters that we're going to look at first, then we're going to dive into the interface. The first one, when we've chosen that we're going to go for search only, the first thing we see is whether or not to show on search partners. So Google Search Partners is a network of other websites that use Google for search and show Google ads in their search results. Ask.com is a great example of a site that does exactly that. If you type a search at ask.com, the ads you will see will be Google ads. Now, that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing that it extends your reach. It makes your campaign bigger. It can reach more potential users. The downside to that is that search partner traffic is not the same as Google traffic. 100 displays of your ad on search partners will behave differently to 100 displays on Google sites. So, what does this mean? It means that when we're setting an account up, we recommend that you disable search partners so that you get true data as to how your campaign is performing on Google. Once we've got that dialed in and it's working, we can change this setting and we can expand to include search partners, but we do it having proven what already works. Now you'll notice Google default this to yes to include search partners, which means your campaign is extended from the start. In most cases, it's the wrong option. So we're going to disable that for any new account builds. Once your account's proven and you understand your metrics, there are great ways we can look at search partner data and decide how to use it. But to start with, keep it off. There's another setting here called ad delivery. Ad delivery determines how Google uses your daily budget. If it's set to standard, let's imagine your ads are running from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. We've set up what's called a schedule. So we've set ads to only run for 12 hours a day. And let's imagine we have a $100 budget. Google, if you set to standard, will try and spread that budget out to last all day long so that you get clicks between 7 and 8, 8 and 9, 9 and 10, and so on, and you keep getting clicks and ad impressions throughout the day. Now that's great, but what it means is that if you haven't got enough budget that Google thinks is going to last for the day, and this is a Google calculation, this isn't proven, if Google doesn't think you have the budget to last all day, it will not show your ad every single time that somebody does a search. So it's something that we commonly come across with clients doing a Google search for their own ads and they can't see it. That's one of the reasons why you can't always see your own ads. And in most cases, when we're starting a campaign, it's the right option. There is another option for us which is called accelerated, which simply means show my ad every single time there is a search for a search term that would trigger my keywords and my ads to show, and then when you run out of money, stop. Even if that means I was due to start at 7 a.m. and finish at 7 p.m. and by 10 o'clock I've run out of money, that's fine. Stop. So the two things work fundamentally differently. Here's why we say standard to start with. When we're learning about a new account or when we're taking over an account and trying to establish some baseline data, we don't know if your prospects are searching at 7 in the morning, noon, or 7 in the evening. So we want ads running over a long period so we can build that background data and understand. We may well find that 9 a.m. till 12 is the perfect time and we don't want to run in an afternoon, but in the early days we don't know that. So we go with standard to allow them to be shown all day long. Okay. Ad rotation is another interesting setting. And basically, Google provides you with lots of really cool stuff here to do clever things to decide how to show your ads. So let's just quickly dive into what we mean. Within an ad group, you can have multiple ads. Those ads will be rotated so that one visitor sees ad number 1, another visitor sees ad number 2, another visitor sees ad number 3, and so on. And the ad rotation setting decides how those ads are rotated. Essentially, you have the first two options, which are optimize for clicks and optimize for conversions, are Google having control of which ad shows when. And they're basically going to try, using algorithms, to determine which ad is most likely to get a click for the visitor who is being, the prospective visitor who has been shown your ad. So they use other data to try and predict which ad is going to perform the best. First option for clicks, second option for conversions. So that's giving Google control. The third option is to rotate them evenly. So, each ad is shown in turn, so that if you look back at your account after a month, you should find that each ad's got roughly a similar number of impressions and potentially clicks. But Google is rotating for impressions. What that will do is that will run on this third option for 90 days. Then it will pick a winner and show the winner most often. So it comes back to this optimizing for clicks and conversions. It comes into a similar model. It says, I'm picking a winner at 90 days and I'm going to show that ad. And your other ads will effectively get little or no traffic. Final option is rotate indefinitely, which does exactly that. Google says, I'm not going to do anything to control this. You pick the one that you want, and it will just rotate them evenly. Now, whenever we set an account up, we always go to rotate indefinitely. We keep the control to choose the winners and losers. And there's a really good reason why we do this. New accounts in particular, the Google has no historical data to work on, and the optimization settings tend to give very unpredictable results, and results that in some cases are conclusions reached too early. So we set for rotate indefinitely, and then we review using our own internal tools the winners and the losers. So that's how we handle that. Go for rotate indefinitely, then you'll get a good spread of ad impressions. Finally for this session, dynamic search ads. These are ads that you're giving Google permission to show your ads to people that Google considers relevant. And it does that by reading the content of your website and your organic ranking, and you're essentially handing over control to Google to say, show my ads for anybody you think might be relevant. Simple rule on this, ignore it, do not use it. Just don't go anywhere near it. Right. So we don't have a lesson, an exercise for this lesson. What we do want to do though is have a quick look at the interface and dive into it. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like in the interface. You're going to notice a couple of things. Firstly, I haven't covered all of the settings. That's absolutely deliberate. Everything I've shown you in this session is those settings where the choices that we make are globally applicable. So it doesn't matter whether we're starting a small campaign, a big campaign, an existing campaign, or a takeover, or whatever it might be, we choose the same options every time. The other options that are on this page, we choose according to circumstances. And we'll vary it. So we're going to cover those separately in individual lessons. So when I skip over some of the settings on this page, that's the reason why we haven't covered them. So what I've done is I've come into my campaign. In this case, I've picked this Shield product and I've clicked the Settings tab. And you can see what's down here. We've got 4 options at the top. All settings, which as the name suggests is all settings. Then we have these 3 that just show subsets of the settings. I'm going to leave it on all and scroll down. So first thing we'll notice, type, search network only. Always choose the sub option, all features. Here we can see again, different types of campaigns. We're going with all features, search network only. Networks, Google search, search partners. As I said before, we're going to turn search partners off. For a new campaign, we don't want that to be shown. We're going to ignore devices, we're going to ignore locations, we're going to ignore language, and we're going to ignore bid strategies and budgets. So here we come down to the bits where we are looking further. We have delivery method. You recall this. And we said standard, not accelerated. So you remember that. And I've just realized I've skipped over bid strategy, where I'm going to click on edit. And this is where AdWords allows you to choose your options. We're going to go for, I'll manually set my bids. And the final one, dynamic search ads, we talked about before. We do not want that to run, so it's got no setting, which is fine, that's perfect. So there you go. I've missed add delivery out. Again, we're going to choose rotate indefinitely. And it will warn you, Google don't want you to set that option, but it's fine. Take it anyway, rotate indefinitely. Remember what I said earlier in this session, Google don't always give you the right default options. That's it for this session. Use the slides from this session as a checklist for making sure you have the right settings on your account, on your campaigns when you set them up. Bye for now.